Hello everyone, it's Margaret here with 60andMe. I'd like to talk to you today about 10 things I think you should start doing from your childhood again. Remember those days when you were kids? The things that you got up to, the simple things that brought you such incredible joy. I mean, you were experiencing them for the first time, many cases, so they were wonderful. They were like wondrous, simple things. And I don't know, I feel like a lot like as you get older, you're kind of going back to your childhood anyway, that, you've now got more freedom to express yourself in ways that you kind of maybe had been moved, out of when you were getting older, and society was putting its rules and its guidelines around what success meant and what, how you should be spending your time, not wasting it, doing things that were going to make you just laugh for no reason. Everything seemed to have a lot more significance, I think, as we went through the stages of, career and family and so on. But anyway, kids have so much fun. Now, if you're blessed with grandchildren, I have wonderful little grandchildren. You know what I mean. Yesterday, they came over for a few minutes, and I had bought some water balloons. Important safety tip. But we actually spent like hours filling up these water balloons and then just dropping them out the window. I mean, it was just a simple game, and they were hysterics. I mean, of course, there was a little bit of water that got, missed and people got a little wet, but it was just so much fun. Water balloons. When was the last time that you actually filled a water balloon and threw them at someone or something? Just simple things. But anyway, one of our bloggers, Michelle Vosberg, did this article on 10 things to do from your childhood again, and I want to just review some of them because they just inspired me so much to think about things that my grandkids come up with the ideas, and I just follow along. But anyway, it's just good fun. First thing she says, and oh my gosh, today is so warm, I could do this like no problem. Eat a popsicle or eat any ice cream on a stick. I mean, not the ones that you can buy, the mega ones with chocolate and almonds and things, but like just the ones that like the Popsicles, the fruity ones that you sit, like, you would do anything for when you were a little kid. I mean, that would be the ultimate bribe, right? Behave yourself, do this, do that, and I'll give you a popsicle. Ice cream. Popsicles are even better though. So, forget the obligations and all the other things that are going on in your life and just go and grab a popsicle and enjoy it. Just enjoy it. I remember when I was a little girl, I mean, I do remember this, we used to actually wait for the milkman to come in his van, and we used to get little jars of orange juice, and we'd go pick some rhubarb from the garden, and we'd dip it in the orange juice. Does anybody else have a strange memory like that from their childhood? Strange kind of treats or whatever that you used to have, but I remember that one. So eat a popsicle, any flavor. I haven't tried one in many years, although I do make them little fruit, those frozen fruit juices. Well, they're kind of the same, but anywho, you get the idea. Another thing is to make a handmade card. Do you remember the times that, like, when you were little, or certainly with the grandchildren, and you say, oh, it's daddy's birthday today, or mama's birthday, or your friend, or whatever, let's do them a card. Let's make them a card. And you get the paper out and all the little accessories, the sparkles, the stickers, and then you make a card. I'm not talking about going down to the shops and buying a card. I'm talking about the card that no one can actually make out what it is. It's so beautiful. So anyway, make a handmade card. It's a creative way to and I'm not talking about with grandchildren now. I'm talking do it on your own, like make your own handmade card. And actually, to be honest, if anyone is needing a hug or a virtual, sort of some support, giving them a handmade card is like one of the nicest things that you can do. So that's another thing. Another thing to do is spend the whole day reading. When I was little, I used to love reading. I mean, I would literally have one book lined up after the next. I mean, I was like always reading, and I had a little place in the house where I would go and sit and read. And we had kind of a small house with lots of kids. Well, three, my two brothers and I, and it was my little secret hideaway. And I would just read and read and do it. Just do that. Why not? And just go back to your childhood. It doesn't have to be a big heavy book. It can just be a book of poems, or just a very lightweight romance novel. It doesn't have to be anything intensely intellectual, but just read a book and just spend the whole day doing it. Have a whole pot of tea and some cookies and whatever, and just enjoy. Along with cookies, you could also do a tea party. Remember the tea parties that you used to have when you were little? With the little teapot and the milk and the tea bags and the whole thing. I mean, that was so much fun. But you could have a tea party. Why not? Go get your favorite little cake. Oh my gosh, what were those ones we used to get? Those little petit fours. Do you remember those little squares? They're all different colors, like pink and yellow, blue. Yeah, those were my faves when I was little. We didn't get too many treats in my house, I remember. My mom used to hide the cookies, but we would still have tea parties. And you'd have your dolls and your little friends, make-believe friends, sitting there with you. And yes, you know the story. Tea parties, really cool. Another thing to do is collect rocks. Seriously. This has become quite a thing, as you probably know anyway. People are collecting rocks and, painting them and, just doing all kinds of mandalas and really elaborate coloring on rocks. I actually do. My favorite is just little rainbow rocks, just all different colors of the rainbow. And I just love those. And you kind of glaze them with some nail polish or something. I mean, remember this stuff you used to do? Now it's actually quite fun. People are leaving rocks in certain places with messages, and there's this whole culture of letting people know that you picked up their rock, and it's in Cleveland, Ohio, as opposed to in Seattle, Washington, where it started. I've been doing something quite similar with Max, with one of my grandchildren, because they're really into this. And that is, I make these little cabochons. I don't have one near me, but I think I've shown you them before. They're like little cabochons. I've made them into necklaces and keychains, that kind of thing. But what we've been doing is making cabochons, and Max has now learned how to do the whole process, and then go and hide them somewhere. And he actually likes to put chalk arrows, like turn here, go there, and then you get to the little treasure. But just that kind of stuff, what you would do as a child, you just like the idea of, collecting things and making, beautiful patterns on them. And I don't know, rocks for me are my thing. I love that. Just sit outside and watch the fireflies, watch the birds, just watch the people. You don't have to make, kids are ultimately, in my opinion, in my experience, ultimately seduced by activity. Look at that tractor, look at that car, look at, just observing and just relaxing. They just sit there. Oh, look at that cloud. That's really, it looks like a rabbit. And I'm saying, jokingly, but these are some things that we did as kids that would bring such a sense of peace back to our lives, right? One of the things that Michelle mentions, which I never would have thought of, because I never did this, maybe you did, but that's make a fairy garden. I don't remember fairy gardens. Make believe houses and fairy gardens. I never did that. Did anybody else do that? I think maybe it was I don't know what part of the world or part of the country that was big, but I never did fairy gardens. But she talks about going to the garden center, and you can actually buy, I guess, and make these kinds of little, gardens out of things. I don't know. But one thing I do is make collages. And I don't know whether, I just love collages. If you were to see my room right now, I've got picture collages all over the room. And I also have, just pictures of faces. But kids just love getting a bunch of postcards, a bunch of cards, just making a collage, a vision board, I think is what they're called these days. And, I've talked about those before, how cool they can be, like making a vision board. But collages, that's another really cool thing that you did as a kid, perhaps. Okay. This is probably one that I'll go, no, Margaret. And that is eat junk food now and again. Not every day, not every minute. Just have a hot dog or whatever the equivalent of your fun activity. Oh, one of my lights just went out. I hope I'm going into the dark. But anyway, so, eat junk food now and again. My favorite thing is, oh gosh, it's just silly things. Paprika chips, those like chips with paprika on them. Oh, they're so good. Yeah, every now and again, just treat yourself. Have a glass of water if it makes you feel you got to balance it out. But eat some junk food, it's really good for you. Another thing that Michelle talks about is playing in the sand. Now, I love the feeling of sand. I'm very tactile anyway, but one of the things that's really cool is I've collected lots of rocks. And which as a kid, in the sandbox, you'd be always hunting for like hours for the little things that people would hide in the sand. And actually, there's a woman on TikTok. The company's called Declan Mining. I'll give it a promo because I've never bought from her, but she's so sweet, and it just is a lovely, lovely idea. You can buy buckets, and in the buckets are sand and all these crystals and stones. And I mean, I can't have them sent here because they cost like $164 just to get them to ship to Switzerland. In the States, you can get them. Declan Mining. And if you do order, tell her that Margaret sent you, because I follow her on TikTok, but I have no relationship to her at all, except I like her product. Play in the sand, what else have I got? I think that's about it, and I think the point is you can probably think of 10 dozen more things, and please share. I'd love to know, what are some of the things that you did as a child that you'd love to do again? Let's see, let's have a little conversation about it. And I want to thank you again for being here for me. Honestly, I really do appreciate it. You have no idea how much I look forward to doing these videos for you. It's a hugely wonderful thing for me. But if you did like it and you got inspired or you thought it was fun, go ahead and leave a comment below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't, and just give it a like, just to check, and a comment, because YouTube loves that. And if you do that, then more people will see the videos. So just leave a comment, yay, great idea, did this, did that. It all helps. Okay, everybody, have a fabulous day wherever you are. Take really good care of yourselves, and lots of love. Bye for now.